Hey, what's up, family? I want to welcome you to a brand new season of our podcast. And if you haven't noticed, we are making a shift. To this point, we have been the Digital Discipleship Podcast, and we are making a shift to where we are now the Church Systems Podcast. My name is Henry, and I am the owner and founder of Simple Systems Consulting. And listen, I am excited to have you here on this podcast. I want to give you simple and practical tools to help you move the church forward. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So today, I've got something really good for us. We're going to be talking about building your online campus. We're really going to be talking about why your church needs an online campus and how you can start building yours. Listen, if you are somebody who's been thinking about building an online campus and stepping deeper into the online space, well, listen, you came to the right place, because by the time I finish this call, you're going to have everything you need to move forward. All right. So let's jump straight into it. As I said before, my name is Henry Tolbert. I am a consultant. I am a speaker. I am an apostolic leader. I spend my entire life serving leaders, serving the church, trying to help them move the needle forward. That's who I am. I'm here to be your guide, to be your friend, to be your partner, to be your brother, to be whatever I need to be to help you drive the church forward. That's the thing that drives me. One of the scriptures that connects with me so deeply is what Paul says at the ends of Colossians 1. He says, listen, man, this is why we work so hard. He says we want to present everyone to Christ, perfect, present everyone to God, perfect in their relationship to Christ. And that is the cry of my heart, is that I want, when you get to the other side, when you get to heaven, I want you to be able to say, hey, listen, I did what the Lord sent me to do. But I also would like it if you were able to say, but this guy really helped me. So that's what I'm here to do. All right. At this point, we've worked with more than 150 church leaders to help them move to the other side. And hopefully, because you're listening today, you're going to be next. All right. So let's jump straight in. All right. So let's talk about this, man. Are the doors of the church still open? Let's talk about church doors. You see that big, beautiful door sitting right there. And, we both know the simple answer. Yes, the doors of the church are still open. But here's the thing. Some of those doors are physical and some of those doors are digital. And that's what we've got to grab, is that the doors of the church are still open, but some of them are digital. And so when we talk about the digital doors to the church, what we're saying is we must embrace the fact that there are people who will be a part of our church, who will be a part of our church family, who want to come under our leadership, who want to come under our covering, who their spirit resonate with the voice of Jesus coming through you. There are people out there who don't live in your city, but they have your scent, they have your heart, your ministry resonates with them. And so when we talk about these digital doors, what we're saying is that we've got to have a plan and a strategy for how we bring people into the church, even in a digital space. We talk about digital doors. There are a couple of things that you can do from a digital standpoint, even when you're not in the building. Number one, people in the digital space can still be members of the church. They can join the church and they can be active members of the church. They can be a part of what you're doing and what God's called you to do, and they can be really important parts of it by doing that. Another thing they can do is they can serve. People can serve in the digital space, because if you're going to have an online campus, it makes sense that you're going to need online volunteers. So rather than just leaning on the volunteers you have in person, what if you had some faithful volunteers who, because they engage with the church in the virtual space, they were the perfect candidates to serve the church in the virtual space? Another thing that people can do is that they can be a part of community in the virtual space. They can be in small groups. They can be in Sunday school classes that are hosted via Zoom, or that travel to meet up once a quarter or once a month, whatever it may be. Again, we've got to start thinking differently. We've got to expand our thinking. Small groups are no longer just this group of people who live in the same neighborhood. Small groups could be a group of people who live 4 states apart. And yet, because they're so excited about what God is doing, once a month or once a quarter, they get together and they meet up in a location for a weekend, and they spend time together and they get in the word together and they pray together. Like, that could be a real thing. So it's got to expand your thinking. And then last but not least, we know this one, they can give. People in the digital space can give. They can be a part of what God is doing financially, and they can become some of your biggest and brightest financial supporters in the church, right? So let me kind of make the case a little bit here. Let's talk about this because we're talking about an online campus. But if we're going to talk about an online campus, we've got to talk about the alternative. And the alternative is an online service. And that is what many people have. We know we're all streaming, we're all on YouTube and Facebook and all those different things. But most people have an online service. And an online service is different from an online campus. Let me say it again. An online service is different from an online campus. Let me teach you and let me show you why. When we talk about an online service, here's what we're saying to people. We're saying, come watch us have church. An online service says, hey, look, you're invited. We want you here, but we want you to come watch us. Come and watch us. You sit there. We're gonna turn on a camera so that you can see everything that's happening in our church. We're not talking to you. We're not engaging with you. We don't have anything for you necessarily other than for you to lean in and watch, right? So picture it this way. With an online service, you're taking a camera, putting it in one of the pews and saying, hey, look, sit here and watch, right? Just sit here and watch what we're doing. All right. That's an online service. Another thing that you're doing is you're saying, watch us serve and volunteer. You're saying, oh man, we've got people who are gifted to sing. Come watch them sing online. We've got people who are gifted with hospitality. You can see some of them walking on camera. We got people who are gifted to pray. Sit here and watch us do an altar call, an altar prayer, and watch us do it. Right? We're saying, watch us volunteer and serve. All right. And then the third thing that we're saying is we're saying, watch us build community. Right. One of my favorite things many years ago, I used to watch this church called World Overcomers with Pastor Andy Thompson. And I would go and I would watch their service. And my favorite thing, my absolute favorite thing about their live stream is that they always cut their live stream on about 30 minutes before service. Right. And 30 minutes before service, they would have the house mic on. And so literally you could just hear the hush and the hum of people talking to each other. You can see people walking back and forth across the camera. And I literally, at this time, I was a pastor, I was a church planner, but our service wasn't at the same time. And so I would literally just sit there and I would be watching all the people walking through and talking and like, man, this is dope. Like they really got community in it. So as a church planner, I'm sitting there thinking about our church culture and I'm looking at them and going like, I love how they're spending time together. Right. But here's the thing. At that time, all I could do is watch them be in community. At that time, there wasn't an invitation for me to be a part of that community. I could just watch it. And I did. And I watched it. And that's what an online service is. When you have an online service, you're saying to all the people who engage with you, come watch us do what we do. All right. That's what you're saying. Come watch us do what we do. But there is another alternative. And that other alternative is to build an online campus. Online campus is a little bit different. An online campus is number one, come be a part of the service, right? Come and be a part of what we're doing. It's basically saying we're going to do to the best of our ability. We're going to duplicate or replicate everything we do in person. We're going to try to find the online version of it. We got in-person greeters. We want to have online greeters, right? We've got in-person prayer. We want to have virtual prayer. We got in-person altar call. We want to have virtual altar call, right? All the things that we do, we want to engage. We've got greeters and hosts. We want to have greeters and hosts in here. We're asking people for amens in person. We're asking people for amens online. We got connection cards in the seat in person. We want to put connection cards in the chat online, right? Everything that we do in person, we're replicating in the digital and the virtual space. And so that's what we're saying. We're saying, look, come be a part. We're saying that when you call it an online campus, what you're saying is we recognize the value and the uniqueness of people who decide to be a part of our church strictly in the digital space. That's what an online campus is saying. We're saying we value you here. This is not just some add-on that we had to put together because people couldn't get together. This is a whole separate campus. This campus has its own volunteers, it's got its own leaders, it's got its own budgets, it's got all these different things in and of itself because it is so valuable and it is so unique. I can't just give the people online what we give the people in person. We need to give them a unique experience. And so a part of that It's saying, look, come be a part. Another thing we're saying is come serve and volunteer. If somebody joins your church from 3 states over because the Lord has just drawn them to the ministry, how can they serve? And so what you think about is, again, how do we replicate all the things we do in person? Right? If we've got people who are on our online campus who that's how they join, that's where they are. Okay, man, we need a virtual prayer team. We need virtual greeters who make sure that when new people join the stream, they're saying, "Hey, thank you so much for joining us. Where are you watching from?" They're talking directly to those people in the chat or in their inbox. They're sending friend requests to the people who log on and to the people who plug into the chat. Like they're really engaging with these people. And this is one of the reasons that the virtual space is so important. I believe it is 10 times easier to grow in the virtual space than it is in the physical space. In the virtual space, one online campus member could invite 1,000 people to church with the click of a button. It would take a person in person, it would take them great effort to invite 100 people to church or 10 people to church. It's almost like pulling teeth to get people to invite in the physical space. But all of a sudden, you take that thing digital, and all I've got to do is click share now. Or if all I've got to do is tag a few people, now I'm on to something different. And so that's why we want to have the same kind of service. And so again, people who want to pray, you can create a virtual prayer team, virtual greeters, virtual ushers. You can have virtual pastoral care where you set up days where you have a Zoom call where your pastoral care team, they can just get on there and set up meetings with people to sit and talk with them. You know, a couple years ago when I was on staff at a mega church, one of the things that we established in our online campus is that whenever somebody came and we established a virtual altar call, and when we built this virtual altar call, when people would come in to receive prayer and all these different things, one of the things that we would do is that we would have our prayer team members take down their information, right? Because we were trying to, the idea was to build a lasting relationship. It was not to just be satisfied that you watch service today, but to draw you in and say, look, come be a part of what we're doing full time. So an online campus says, come and serve with us. Finally, an online campus says, let's build community. It says, we want to know you. We want to be in long-term relationship with you. And that's very similar to what I just mentioned a second ago. It is creating opportunities to connect with people in such significant ways that they stay with you and a part of you for the long run. And that's what you can do with an online campus. All right. So I've given you all the what's and the whys. Now let me give you the how to. All right. So let's talk about building your online campus. All right. I'm gonna give you a very simple framework. If you've listened to me for any amount of time, you know when I talk about how to's, I want to give you framework. I want to give you the starting points, kind of the parameters of what you're doing. And then that way you can adjust it for the unique culture of your church and your ministry, right? So let's just walk through a simple four-part or four-step framework to help you get started. All right. Part number one is the first thing you want to do is you want to build your online campus team. Build a team that is going to own and operate your online campus. All right. And so when I'm talking about that, I'm saying, okay, you need a point person who's going to be ultimately responsible, right? If you feel comfortable, that could be your online campus pastor. If you don't feel comfortable assigning a pastor, maybe it's a coordinator or director or somebody. It's the person though who, if I have a question about online ministry, I'm coming to you. But then also, depending on the size of your church and the size of your team, now you expand that out, right? Expand that out, build that team. And here's one of the beautiful things about your online campus team: it is not limited to people who show up to your building every week. Your online campus team could have somebody from across the country be a part of it. It doesn't matter because it's in the virtual space. And so you want to build that team. You want to give them crystal clear parameters. They need to know exactly what you expect of them, right? Because so many people have experienced online service and not online campus, you need to be very clear with your team that you're doing something different, right? You want to let them know that I'm not just asking you to babysit people online for me. I'm asking you to build a church in the online space. I'm asking you to build community groups. I'm asking you to host a monthly Facebook group live call where people jump on and they talk to each other. I'm asking you to build teams. I'm asking you to do that. I'm telling you, if you do that, it'll make a difference. And please hear me. This is not just for large churches. I believe there are some small churches who should double down on their virtual campuses, on their online campuses, because your online growth could fuel your in person growth. Your online growth could give you the momentum and the resources you need to increase your in-person growth. I think it makes a difference. And so you need to really take some time and define the different roles that you have in person and how you can replicate that in the online space. All right. So step number 1 is you want to build your online team. All right. Step number 2 is that you need to build funnels and automations. All right. And I know this sounds complicated, but don't worry about it. If you need help with it, just reach out to me and my team and we will help you. We will do it for you. We will lay it out. All right. But here's what you want to do is that you want to supplement manpower with technology. Manpower with technology. Here's what I mean. All right. When I build an automation, I can build an automation that if a person just, if our online host, our online campus pastor, if they just post the link for people to say yes to Jesus, to receive prayer, whatever it is, from the moment they post that link, we've got an automation set up that it will take people from signing up to being invited to our new members class, to graduating from that class, to receiving their certificate, to being invited into to join a small group, to being invited to give for the first time, and so forth and so on, right? To find a ministry they want to serve in, we can put all of that in one workflow, right? So what would happen? The first thing that would happen is I could post a link and take you from sign up to graduation without another person having to do any other paperwork. Like that's a huge deal. But then from there, I can put you into a pipeline that says, here's where you want to go next. All right. So let me just break this down real quick. When I talk about funnels, just in case you don't know what that is, a funnel, you think for years we've used websites, and a website, you click on a website and you got all these different options. You got all these pages you can click. I want to know about this, I want to know about that. Well, with the funnel, we're determining for you the path that you're going on, right? We're sending you down a very specially curated path. So we're saying, okay, look, click this link. Once you click this link, now I'm taking you to this. All right. So you signed up, you want to receive prayer or you want to join the church. The very next thing is I need you to get in this new member / discipleship class. The very next thing is I need you to graduate. The very next thing is I need you to serve and be a part of a team. The very next thing is I need you to give for the first time. Like a funnel says, here is how we want to take it from really broad and wide all the way down to a very specific thing, right? And that is a storm breaking out here as I'm recording this episode, but I'm gonna finish it. All right. So you want to build your funnels and automations. When you build funnels and automations right, it will do the work of a staff person, right? Because you might think you need more staff, but what I'm here to tell you is if you would put focus and energy on developing some technology, it will help save you. Like a staff person could cost you part time, let's say $500 a week or $2,000 a month. You can get a software, for example, our software where we build all the automations and put them in your account. It's $200 a month, $50 a week, and it can do the work of a real person and do it more consistently because it's a machine. It's a program. So it doesn't make the mistakes. People don't fall through the cracks. It does what it was meant to do. All right. So step 2 is you want to build your funnels and automations. This is very important because when people start coming in, you do not want the growth and the process and the progress of the ministry to be held up based on 1 or 2 people, right? You want a process already in place. This is so important. Before you take it to the public, you need to have the train tracks built. No company would go and start having people getting on a train when there are no tracks. You need to build the tracks first, right? That's why we're so huge on systems. Systems are the tracks. If you don't have tracks, then the train has to sit still until the tracks are built. And that's one of the reasons that so many churches have grown stagnant and have lost momentum is because they focused so much on getting people on the train, but they never built the tracks. You got to build the tracks first. If you build the tracks first, then the train can get rolling. And when the train gets rolling, its momentum is limitless. But you got to build the tracks first, right? Step number 3 is that you want to plan your online ministries, all right? You want to really spend some time thinking about what can we do well online, right? Because you don't need to do everything. You need to do what fits you. You need to know the strengths of your ministry. You need to know what fits you well, and you need to say, okay, cool. This is what we want to focus on, right? If I was leading in a context today where maybe my worship it was good in person, but it didn't translate well online, then I would say, okay, our stream starts at 10:30. Our service starts at 10, but our stream doesn't start till 10:30. Right. And I would be okay. Or I would have some kind of video, or I would create a talk show or a podcast or a blog where I get 3 or 4 of my members to sit around the table and talk for 15 minutes before service. And I would play that while we were doing worship in person. And by the time they finished that, we finished worship, we going live to the online audience, right? You do what works well for you. There is no one size fits all with this. Let me free you. I want to give somebody the freedom. I want to use every ounce of authority that the Lord has given me to give you freedom in this area and to say to you, you don't have to be like anybody else. There are no parameters. As long as you are operating within the will and the word of God, you can be as creative as you need to in order to get across this gospel message that God has put inside of us. And so if that means that your online campus doesn't happen on Sundays, so be it. Do it on Saturdays, right? If that means that your online campus happens on during your midweek on Wednesday, that's your online campus. So be it. Whatever it's going to be, that's perfectly fine. The big thing is to simply find what you can do well and do that. Don't try to do what somebody else is doing well. Do what you can do well. So ask yourself, what could we do well? If you have a very relational church, you might do really well with online small groups, right? You might do really well with online Sunday school. Some of those things might be a great fit for you, right? So just find what you do well, stick with that, go for it, and knock it out of the park. All right. One of the things to consider here, a couple of things to consider here. Number one, pastoral support, right? That's just having a calendar where people can schedule a Zoom call to sit and talk with you. You know, within our software, Simplicis, we even have it where we can create a round robin where you can have 4 different people set aside 2 hours a week and say, here are the 2 hours a week I'm setting aside just for ministry, right? And we can put their schedules into a calendar. When somebody needs virtual pastoral care or just even pastoral care in everyday life, they can go and click that calendar. And when they click that calendar, it will automatically schedule them with the person who is available at the time that they chose. Like, it is absolutely phenomenal and monumental, right? It's a huge deal, but it's just about setting it up. You want to think about stuff like small groups, and I mentioned that, but also training, right? You could train ministers if you're really strong in training. You're really strong at training people in the prophetic, whatever it is. You can do all of those different things online. Those could be a part of the draw for how you reach new people and get them to the next step. All right. Last part, number 4. The final thing I want you to do is I want you to plan your online campus flow. And what I mean by that is that you want to plan out, how does your online service operate? I just gave you a hint into that. Maybe you have a talk show first. Maybe you have worship first. Maybe you can put somebody on screen and have them pray first. Maybe you play worship videos for 15 minutes. Whatever it is, you find your worship flow. Now, I think it's important that your online campus flow does not conflict with your in-person flow, right? Because there could be some places where they cross over. One place, for example, is a virtual altar call. With the virtual altar call, one of the things that we would do is that after the pastor was finished preaching, say, look, if you need us to pray with you, click the link right now. Go and do this, blah, blah, blah. They click the link. And when they click the link, it take them to a Zoom room and they go and pray one-on-one with people, right? And so those two things had to be synced up between the in-person and the online, right? So that's very valuable. But you want to plan out how your service is going to flow, right? And again, be as creative as you want to be. Do something different. Don't feel like you have to do what everybody else does. As a matter of fact, I would argue that for most of you, because we do it, we really put a lot of focus into serving churches with less than 150 people in their weekend attendance. So for churches of that size, you don't need to try to compete with the church down the street that's got a 50-person production team. You don't need to try to compete with that. You need to bring who you are to the forefront. So again, be creative. Record a 10-minute pastor's heart moment, where you sit in front of the camera every week and you just record yourself saying, hey, here's what's on my heart this week. We've been in a series on this. And so what I want you to know is this. And matter of fact, you're getting ready to hear a message where I'm going to be talking about blah, blah, blah. I want you to remember that this and that. And you just pour into people, right? Have a couple of members sit around in a circle on the couch and record them talking about what you talked about last week. Man, last week was so good. We're in this series on faith, and Pastor talked about this. Man, it blew my mind. And so this week, I can't wait to see what's coming next. And you just let that be the opener or the closer or whatever. Like, be creative in how you put it together. Because it's going to be your opportunity to reach into the people that God has called to you. All right. So 4 steps: build your team, build the funnels and automations, plan your ministries, and then plan your campus flow. If you do those 4 things, you are well on your way to having your online campus. All right. Listen, I want to say I appreciate you so much for listening, and I hope this has been a blessing to you. If you want some help, if you want to know more about who we are and what we do, and if you want to see if you're a fit and you want to apply to be a part of our Church Systems Boot Camp, which is our coaching program for pastors and their teams, if you want to be a part of that, you can visit getchurchsystems.com. There's a video I'll ask you to watch. You watch that video, and then you can schedule a one-on-one call, a breakthrough session with me. On that breakthrough session, I'll hear about where you are and what God is doing. And then I'll let you know if I realistically believe that we can help you, if it's a good fit. And if it is, I'll invite you into the program and we'll start the process of helping you get to the other side. All right. Listen, I appreciate you for joining me. And until next time, keep the gears